today on my post. There was a lot of great information in there. I decided to go to Robin's wall and post a question to her about, you know, losing in P3 and going by the hunger scale in P3, and if I would ever stabilize that way. And to my surprise, I knew it was a shot in the dark. I mean, she does answer a lot of posts, but she also probably doesn't get to a lot of them either. So I think it just depends on if she's online, if she sees it come through, what she's doing when it comes through, all that fun stuff. Because I think I've put some... Okay, so that was really funny. You guys went flying. My thing is just not holding in my phone like it used to. You guys went flying. You hit my windshield wiper thing, and so my wiper started going off and everything. It was pretty funny. So I'll just leave it. So anyway, as I was saying, Robin does answer sometimes, I think, when she can, and other times not. But I think it's just like a shot in the dark if you get an answer. So I decided last night that I would just go post it on her wall and see what she says, because I noticed that she hadn't replied to somebody else who had written on her wall. So Lynn had put something, and I don't think she's answered her yet, which was pretty much the same question I was going to ask. So I had abstained from asking her. So she answered me immediately, which I was pretty surprised about, but I was happy about. And I can't quote her because I can't read exactly what her response was, but I can tell you in my own words that she basically said that in the first week of P3, most people have less of an appetite than they even did during P2. So that's normal for me not to be hungry. And she also said, do not worry about what the scale says, to go by my hunger. And my question to her was, will I stabilize if I go below the 2-pound under mark and continue to lose in this phase? And she said, do not worry about that at all, and eat 100% strictly based on my hunger. So that did make me feel better, and I feel like I'm going to continue to do that, and I'm not going to stress about it. And especially because if I do a second round, me and my friend Macy were talking about this the other day. What if you don't stabilize this round and then you go into another round? What if you just stabilize at the end of that round? Like, does it matter? Or I don't know. I don't think it would. But the point being is that I am sticking to my hunger scale, which means that I am going to lose. That's inevitable, because yesterday I did my hunger scale again. I didn't eat much again, and I lost 0.6 or 0.8, one of the two. I'm back in Wonderland. So yeah, I mean, that's where it's just going to be for me. It's just, if it keeps going down, it keeps going down. I can't stress over it. I am going to eat when I'm hungry. She did say that my appetite will pick up more, especially in the 3rd week. So, you know, maybe I'll just end up gaining some of this back towards the end, but I can't stress over it, and I'm not going to. So I will, when I get to work, post in the comments below my video Robin's response, if you guys are interested in reading it verbatim. And I know that there's going to be controversy about it. Like, people won't agree with it. Some people will agree, some people won't agree. And I think the bottom line is that we just all have to make a decision for ourselves, what we feel like works best for ourselves. And, you know, if what she's saying resonates with you, then you should do that. And if it doesn't, then you shouldn't. I mean, I think that we all know ourselves well enough that if something doesn't feel right, don't do it. And if it feels right, then you should do it. I think that's really what it comes down to. So, you know, and a lot of people probably wouldn't agree with her, but I think the fact that my own doctor said not to force feed as well, and it lines with what Robin is saying, leads me in that direction to go with that. So that is what I'm going to do, and I do appreciate all your feedback. I'm so happy that I have all of your support and knowledge and information and research. It's like so amazing to get answers, to post a video and come back and to see all these kinds of answers. It's so great. So I appreciate that. So because this is a short video, well, it's not super short, but what I am going to do is talk a little bit about GMOs. And I'm not going to go into a full-blown GMO video, but I think that this is important for you guys to be aware of, because now that you've done the HCG diet, you have avoided all GMOs for the most part, because you're eating whole, unprocessed foods. And the only time you really get into GMOs is when you start eating processed foods. However, I am going to disclaim this, and this is what I'm going to talk about today, is corn. Genetically modified corn is 85 or 90% of all the crops in the U.S. of corn are genetically modified. And so any foods that have corn in the ingredients, which is 90% of processed foods, it either has corn syrup, high fructose, is it corn syrup? High fructose corn syrup, all kinds of derivatives of corn. There's like a million different ones that they squeeze into processed foods. There is an exception though. Walmart is going to be one of the first chains that are going to allow a actual ear of genetically modified corn on their shelves. Now, there's something that you should know. Genetically modified food is not labeled in our country. In other countries, in Europe and Canada and other places, it's either banned because the government won't allow it, because there's too many dangers with it, or unknowns about it, or it's, if it is allowed, it's labeled so that consumers know that they're buying it. So in the US, we don't have either requirement. And the reason I started really looking into genetically modified foods was when I started dealing with infertility, and I saw this case study. Well, not a case study, it's actually out on YouTube. It's a video that you can go watch if you Google, I think you just have to search for corn, genetically modified corn in pigs. And I will summarize this for you, but feel free to go watch it. There were a bunch of farmers across the Midwest or the U.S. that farmed their pigs. They reproduced and they sold the meat and all that. Well, all of a sudden they started having problems. Their pigs weren't reproducing. They were having infertile pigs. They were delivering empty sacks. Like, there was just this weirdness going on. And so when they started talking, they realized that the one common denominator for these farmers that were all in different states and different parts of the countries, yet having the same issues at the same time, the common denominator was they had all switched to a genetically modified corn feed at the same time. In some cases, they don't even have a choice, because you need to watch Food Inc., by the way. If any of this is intriguing or interesting to you, or if you care 1 ounce about your food sources, you need to watch Food Inc. And I'm sure there's some other good ones out there too, but Food Inc. is probably a good starting point. So in a lot of cases, these farmers didn't even have, they no longer had the option to even buy organic corn feed anymore, because this beast, Monsanto, came along and started taking over all of the crops in the U.S. So like a lot of the seed that grows around here, sorry about that, this cable's in the way. A lot of the seeds in the U.S. now are genetically modified, and they're taking over. They're like a monster. And what happens is when the wind blows and the seeds blow, they blow even into the organic farmers' crops, or into the, crops where they choose not to do genetically modified. And these poor farmers, what happens is these guys got big kahunas, let me tell you, knowing damn well that their seed blew over into their crops, because the genetically modified seed is patented, they're going and suing those farmers for growing their seed without like having a contract with them or an agreement with them, knowing that their seed blew into. So anyway, it goes into this big long issue where it ends up in court cases, and these poor farmers can't afford to fight anymore, so because they run out of money, And so they pretty much get shut down and go out of business. They lose these lawsuits, and it's just a bunch of total crap. And it makes me so mad. So, yes, this is going on with our food supply. We have a right to know what the hell is in our food. And we also sit and wonder why there's all these new diseases around that, like, nobody really knows much about. ADHD, ADD. It's our food supply, people. You better start reading labels, and you better start paying attention to not what you're just giving yourselves, but what you're giving your kids. I don't think it's a coincidence that there's all these things coming up that doctors don't know much about, but our food supply has been tampered with. I mean, the government allows things in our food that are carcinogenic, that are, it's just, there's food out there that has never even been tested in a lab more than 7 weeks. How do you know the long-term repercussions of those foods if they've, like, been tested for 7 weeks in a lab? I don't get it. I don't even know how that's legal. But that is how messed up our system is. So, how do you avoid GMOs? You eat 100% organic. You don't eat anything that doesn't say that it's organic. I mean, I do that even with produce and fruits, because, you know, there's the dirty dozen. I don't know if you guys know about the dirty dozen, but fruits that are contaminated, fruits and vegetables that are contaminated with pesticides, there's a top 12 list of things that you should absolutely avoid. Farmers who farm potatoes that use pesticides will not eat their own potatoes. They grow a separate crop of organic ones because that's how filthy, disgusting potatoes are. And that means if you eat potato chips or scalloped potatoes or anything that has potato in it, you're getting genetically modified unless you're buying organic, which is really disgusts me. So that's going to be the beginning of my rant on GMOs, and you'll probably hear more about them from me, but I just want to let you guys know, because you're taking great steps into the right direction for great health, and the last thing you want to be doing is eating foods or cooking on Teflon or drinking out of plastic or doing all these things that can cause your body some serious harm. And our government allows it. It's really sad, but it's true. So I will do some more videos on GMOs, but that's all I got for today because this is getting long, and I appreciate everyone listening, and I hope you're all doing well, and we will speak again soon. Bye.